On the premiere episode of TJ's Reef, we're going to talk about water quality. Exciting stuff, right? Hey there, and welcome to the premiere episode of TJ's Reef. The point of this series is to help you make reefing easier and more enjoyable. Learn through my mistakes that I've encountered through my 20 plus years of reefing experience so you don't have to. So today, we're going to talk about water quality. Now, we're not going to talk about the water quality in the tank quite yet. Before you worry about what's going on in that tank, you got to worry about what you're putting in that tank. And that means starting with good, clean water. Now, some people think, well, I have a well. I have really good water. Maybe my municipal water is really good. I've kept freshwater fish without any problems. Yeah, no. Unless you're sourcing your water directly from a nice spot in the ocean, which some people do in their tanks. They actually live in an area where they can get salt water right out of the ocean. But even that you have to be careful about. Maybe we'll cover that in a future episode. But I'm talking about clean water that you put in with your salt mix to make your tank water. Now, well water, yeah, it's better than municipal water, but it's still not good enough. There's still going to be unknowns and things that we would consider contaminants in that water. City water or municipal water, no. It's going to contain chlorine, which is a definite no-no for your tank, among who knows what else is being put in there by your municipality or not being removed in that, for that matter. Some people say, well, I'll just use my tap water and add a dechlorinator to it, and that makes it good. No, I mean, I have dechlorinators, and when you have a freshwater tank, usually that's fine, but I would not trust it because maybe you get all the chlorine out. Let's just say you get all the chlorine out by adding another chemical, and there's still other stuff in there. You don't know what's in there unless you send off your water sample and get it tested. It's just not worth it. So the idea is having the cleanest, purest water possible from the get-go. And what's the easiest and most cost-effective way to do it? In my opinion, it's by making RODI water. Now, some of you may have reverse osmosis set up for your drinking water. Chances are it still has a lot of contaminants in it. The reason that you have an RO filter, not an RODI filter, is because it still leaves certain things in the water for taste. If you drink RODI water, it's going to taste funny because it doesn't have anything in it. It is pure water. An RO still leaves some of those contaminants in it. Contaminants we don't want to end up in here. Hey guys. So, look at this. I get near the tank. Obviously, I'm here to feed them. Couldn't be for anything else. We'll get to feeding in a future episode. But anyways, getting back to what's in the water. You need an RODI, reverse osmosis deionizer. Okay? Now, what that does is it takes everything out of the water. Some people think that's expensive. It's not. I got an RODI system that's working just great, and I paid about $60 for it on Amazon. Let's go take a look and see what is all incorporated into a good RODI setup. So here is my RODI setup. It's very simple. Like I said, I paid about $60 for it, and I am not promoting this particular brand or model. I'm just saying this is what I use, and it gives me good results. I have it here in my laundry room. It's connected up to my utility sink. It came with all the connectors, so it just screws onto your tap with a feed line, goes through all of the different filtration stages, which we'll cover here in a second, and then you have two export lines. You have one that is a waste line, which just goes right down the drain, and the other one is the one that gives you your RODI water. What happens is your water comes in, and it goes through a membrane, which has to be replaced about every 1 to 2 years, depending on how often you make water and how much water you make. It goes through a carbon filter, it goes through a sediment filter, and finally it goes through a deionizing media. Actually, it should be sediment first, then carbon, then membrane, then DI resin. The nice thing about this is it's really easy to install. You really just hook it to your faucet and you're done. The cartridges are pretty easy to switch out. They're just plug and play with the little snap fittings. When the carbon's gone and used up, you just replace the whole thing. The membrane you can replace by unscrewing this end and putting a new membrane in. And the resin, again, you just replace the whole thing, or you can just replace the resin, or you can reuse your resin, which is a little bit too much of a process for me. I just rather buy new stuff. Same thing with the sediment filter. One of the bad things of RODI is waste. This system does about a 4-to-1, I believe. So that means for every 1 gallon of good water that I produce, it wastes 4 gallons down the drain. Now, I live in Arizona. Water's kind of a premium, so we try to use the wastewater. I just simply put my waste line into a watering can, and I recover a couple gallons for the plants. Other people have their lines running out of their house into 50-gallon barrels. Some people use it for their gardens, but you do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, get yourself an RODI setup. Now, you have an RODI. What does it do? What is it doing for you? Well, like I said, it's taking all the contaminants out of the water. And as you can see, this is really, really good stuff for the dog. Right, Brick? That's Brick. He's my tank buddy. A lot of energy there. What the RODI does is it takes all the contaminants out of the water and makes it suitable for mixing with your salt. Now, how do you know you have all the contaminants out of the water? The only way to really verify it is with a TDS meter. So how about we go get some samples of water, one from the faucet and one from RODI, and see what we find by testing the two of them. All right, so we are going to show the difference of water out of the faucet, which is in this glass, and water from the RODI. So what we have here is our TDS, our total dissolved solids meter, and it's a pretty simple process. All you have to do is take off the cover, turn it on, there we go, and it should read 000 there, and we will place it into the water right out of the tap. And right away, what do we have there? 441. So that's 441 parts per million, and we want 0. So you're already starting off with pretty contaminated water with chlorine and who knows what else if you're using stuff right out of your tap. So now let's test the RODI. Let me clean this off. You definitely want to make sure it's cleaned off because the little bit of water that goes from that glass to this glass can contaminate your sample. So hopefully this reads 0. Let's take a look. So it's going in, and you can see it's reading 15, probably from contamination. So let's basically rinse it in this. I'm gonna go get another sample of RODI and see how that turns out. So I'll be right back. I got a new glass. This was the previous tap water. Here's the new glass of RODI. So let's turn this bad boy on. And we are at 000. And all right, we're reading 1. So that's a 1 right there, which I can live with. It's close to 0. Again, could be from contaminants or anything. But like I said, the DI filter on there, the resin is about ready to go anyway. So chances are we're about due to replace. But as you can see, 001 in the RO water versus over 450 something in tap water. So you need to have good water if you're gonna have a good tank. So as you can see, without a doubt, RODI wins every day. 0s to over 400 and some TDS in my municipal water. That stuff is never going in my tank. In fact, I never even use it to rinse out anything or clean anything that's gonna touch the tank. Everything is rinsed with RODI that I keep in camping jugs, which you can get at Walmart. They're a couple of bucks. Actually, they're probably more like 10 bucks. I have two 4-gallon camping jugs. They're those big blue ones with the nozzles on them, the pour spouts. So it's a real nice way to store enough water should you need to do a water change or an emergency comes up or cleaning or just everyday use. You need to have that RODI to get that 0 TDS water. And then from there, we go into mixing our salt with it and making good old salt water for this tank. So that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope I managed to give you a little bit of information about why you need reverse osmosis deionizing setup. I beg of you, please don't put your regular water in there. And there's gonna be somebody that says, oh, my tap water works just fine, my well water works just fine. Then you're one of the lucky ones. I'm not putting it in there. I don't know what's in it. And you know what? I promise to keep these animals alive and healthy, and the best way I can do that is by giving them the best possible water I can. So until next episode, happy reefing. Brick, what'd you think? I'll take that as an approval.